With all the excitement of the previous hand, I somehow forget to record my cards for the next hand. Luckily, I'm an expert at drawing and problem solving. I've got 9-8 of spades under the gun. I raised to 30. The big blind is the only customer. She calls for 20 more with a short stack. The flop comes queen 7-4 with 2 spades. We've got a flush draw and a backdoor straight draw. The opponent checks. I bet 40 is a semi-bluff. She's going to make it harder for me than that, just to be consistent with other women who have come and gone in my life. She calls. I'm lucky she didn't take my cat. The turn is the 8 of clubs. We make a pair. Big blind checks. I have showdown value, so I no longer need to semi-bluff. I also get the feeling that my opponent is strong. I check back to make sure I see a river. It's the jack of hearts. We're downgraded to third pair. Big blind bets 120. My New Year's resolution is to not hero call as much. I fold without much thought. It's an interesting hand, not because the pot was that large, but mostly because I semi-bluffed you at the start of it. I almost deleted the video thinking that it wouldn't make the vlog. While doing so, I realized that I actually had 10-9 of spades. I misremembered my hand and folded the absolute nuts. I backdoored a straight and had the opponent betting into me. In 18 years of poker, I can't remember a single other time that I folded the nuts, especially using both cards. I've been working as hard as I can lately, playing and editing, plus it's extremely distracting to film and write notes about previous hands while playing. All that together caused a giant mistake for me. It cost me at least $265, probably more. Certainly had my fair share of embarrassing moments on the vlog. That one is right up there with the best of them. Here we pick up pocket fours on the button. Under the gun limps in for 5. Under the gun +1 calls. I call. The small blind calls. The big blind checks. We're going 5 ways to the flop. It's queen jack 4 with 2 clubs. We've got bottom set on a coordinated board with multiple opponents. The first 3 players check. Under the gun +1 bets 20. There's too much going on with this board for me to flat with several opponents behind me. I raised to 65. Small blind, big blind, and under the gun all fold. Under the gun +1 isn't so quick to let go. He calls for 45 more. Maybe he has a queen or a flush draw. We're heads up. I'm rooting for a blank. The turn is the 6 of spades. That's a good one. The opponent checks. I want to try and get his whole stack, but I have no idea how much he's playing since his hands are blocking his chips from my view. This is when things really get interesting.
Mind lifting up your hands, please? Can't see how many chips you have.
As the opponent lifts up his hands to about eye level, he holds on to his cards the entire time and briefly exposes what I see as a red face card. I don't see exactly what it is, but I feel really weird about the situation. I'm conflicted as to whether or not I should say something. I know that the opponent is likely drawing dead since he either has a queen or a jack, probably not both because he might have re-raised on the flop with top 2 pair on a draw-heavy board. He could also have something like king 10, but he'll never have a flush draw. I have a huge hand and don't want to waste it by letting the opponent know that I have at least some clue as to the strength of what he's got. If another club comes out, for instance, I can still value bet because I don't have to be worried about under the gun +1 having a flush. That's not how I want to be winning extra money, but at the same time, I did nothing wrong in this situation, and poker is a game about making the fewest mistakes. Him bringing his cards between 1.5 feet to 2 feet off the table so that they're visible for everyone to see is a pretty big mistake. I bet 75 to ensure that I can get called from a queen, jack, or king 10. I didn't have to bet too much to protect against clubs. I strongly would have preferred him not to give me any information though. I feel very odd as the opponent calls. The river is the jack of spades, giving us a full house. He'll either have top pair, trip jacks, or miss straight draw. There's some tiny chance that he has a better full house, but I almost completely ruled that out earlier. He checks and has 300 in his stack. I consider jamming. That's a little too greedy, and sometimes opponents are intimidated by the words all in. Instead, I bet 250, somewhat hoping for a fold. The opponent immediately calls. I turn over the full house. The player looks at his cards. Part of me wants him to somehow have a better full house. He doesn't. He shows that he has jack 5 offsuit for trips. I'm not sure why I limped in with that hand. I have no idea why he called my raise on the flop, but I don't feel good about the situation. If I hadn't seen a card flash on the turn, I certainly would have bet larger than 75 to protect against flush draws, and maybe he would have folded at that point rather than call and drill the worst river card in the deck for him. He can't fold to a large sizing once he makes trips. I don't really know what to do. My stack is up to 2,700. I'm winning a few hundred on the night. I just don't feel right about it.
Are you okay with being on the vlog? I have a YouTube channel. What's your name? Adam, I'm gonna give you that last bet back, dude. There you go. When you lifted up your hands, when I asked you to, I saw one of your cards. I didn't see exactly what it was, but I saw it was like a red face card. And it made me feel weird, so I just feel like you should have that back. Yeah.
I'll take it.
Yeah. Good.
As smooth as things are going, it's about to get even better since we've got pocket aces under the gun. An old friend from high school called me right before I looked down at him, so I had to tell him I'd call him back, and I missed filming the pre-flop action, but I raised to 15. 5 players called to wreck my world. We're going 6 ways to the flop, and obviously have no chance of winning. It comes 5-4-4 rainbow. That's actually about as good as it gets without improving and having so many other opponents. It's check to me. I should be able to get plenty of value from other overpairs. I bet 50. A player in middle position folds, the button folds, the small blind folds, the big blind folds. Somehow no one had a better hand. We get it through. I bluffed a couple of times. I like to control my image, so I show that I actually had it here.
I'd say the aces on that one. Oops. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, shit.
If you remember the beginning of this hand, I told you that 5 players called me pre-flop. Only 4 folded. The hijack called in the 1 seat, and I didn't see it, then exposed my hand. I was distracted, plus I'm a complete idiot, not a fun spot for me to be in. The hijack is working with a lot more information than I have, and may start firing big bets as a bluff to try and get me off aces, which may or may not work for him. He could also really have a monster hand like quads or a boat. After all, he called me when I bet into 5 players. Luckily, he suggests a solution.
You want to take it down? Or
If you don't mind, I mean, yeah.
There's obviously a lot of confusion at the moment, all caused by me since I didn't accurately follow the action, but the opponent is cool. He says that we can check it down, or I can bet the turn with the implication that he has a worse hand and will fold. I'm always going to take option number 2 to bet the turn and end the hand as soon as possible. The dealer puts out the 10 of diamonds. I bet 15, expecting the player to fold like he made it seem he would. This is when things get even crazier. The dealer thought that we were just checking it down and puts out the 9 of diamonds on the river.
I thought you said he said 50.
I said take it down.
Yeah, I thought you said bet the turn just so I can.
Oh,
I didn't hear that part, but that's why I was laughing.
oh, he said okay.
I said okay on checking it down, and then I thought you said if you want
I
to
thought I
check the
said
turn.
check it down.
Yeah,
That's why I
you
did
did.
that.
And then I thought you said if you want to bet the turn.
I didn't say anything.
I'm super confused because I obviously thought that I heard the player suggest that I bet the turn, but now he's denying it, and the dealer didn't hear anything about betting the turn. The hijack seemed to be trying to play friendly. I feel like a complete jerk for betting when... Hold on. Let's play back the audio from previously.
Alright, I mean, yeah. Alright, I mean, yeah. Alright, I mean, yeah.
I don't know what the hell is going on. This is very embarrassing for me though.
I thought you meant.
Is this gonna go on the vlog?
This is
I hope not.
I'm sorry.
Alright, so, I mean, whatever. I'll just. It's fine.
Okay, alright.
The player shows that he has pocket 10s for a turned full house. Now everything makes a lot more sense. The opponent told me that we could check it down, or made it seem like he'd fold to a turn bet when he had the worst hand, but after hitting a 2-outer and me betting, he all of a sudden forgets saying anything about a turn bet and seemed to be contemplating a raise for value. This is up there with the strangest hand that I've ever played. Again, it all started from me making a mistake. That mistake somehow ends up working out huge for me because otherwise I would have gotten sucked out on and would have lost a much bigger pot. The opponent would have at least gotten 2 more bets out of me, but I miraculously get bailed out again, this time by messing up.
Oh, okay,
You saved
alright.
this off.
Wow. What a good mistake. Wow.
No. Here. Yeah. Gee, that was a weird one.
The more the hijack thought about what happened after the hand, the more he was bothered by it, and I don't really blame him. He for sure would have made more money had it played out normally. I feel bad about the situation, and I toss him $100 to ease the tension a little. I wanted to try and make things as fair as I could and make everyone feel okay about moving forward. That seems to do the trick. The deck has its own plan for me. I'm dealt pocket jiggities in the small blind. It's another straddle pot, and one player's gone, so it's 6-handed at the moment. The player first to act opens at 200. This is annoying because it's a larger than normal size raise, and it's coming from an early position player. The cutoff calls. I don't like any of my options. I'm certainly not folding. I'm on the fence about calling or 3-betting. 3-betting's probably slightly better. Instead, I call, which pretty much turns my hand into pocket deuces. I'm not going to feel comfortable going forward unless I hit a set. The big blind calls. The under the gun straddler in the 2-seat puts in a tiny 3-bet to 850. This is super odd. He probably should have made it closer to 1400. Surprisingly, the initial pre-flop raiser and the cutoff both fold. I'm not going anywhere. The stack to pot ratios are going to potentially get very strange though. I call for 650 more. The big blind also calls. A lot of the time, he's going to have a small to medium pocket pair or some kind of suited connector type hand. He has a 10k stack and can really decimate mine if we happen to get into it together. He comes out ahead. I can't think of a much better time than this to drill a set. Unfortunately, we don't run quite that good. The flop is 7-4-3 rainbow. This is such an uncomfortable situation to be in since I've got something really good, but one or both players could have me beat. I check, the big blind checks, which he'd almost for sure do with sets, or he could even conceivably do this with 6-5 suited. Under the gun likes the price that he made it pre-flop, he sticks with it and bets 850 again. I don't see how I can fold to a bet that's less than a third of the pot. The problem is that while under the gun may have a hand like ace-king, in fact, that's what I think is the most likely hand he'll have given his line. I'm worried if I call it could look weak, and the big blind might put in a big check raise whether he has a strong hand or not, since this board crushes his range. What's almost an equally bad scenario is if I flat and the big blind calls behind me with a hand that has equity like 8-7 suited, 7-6 suited, pocket sixes, pocket fives, or any hand with 2 overs and a backdoor flush draw. If I call, there won't be any cards other than a jack that I'll want to see, particularly if it goes 3-ways to the turn. I feel super handcuffed. The one thing I have going for me is that I could have also smashed this flop given how I played it pre-flop. I do something a little unconventional and slide in a raise to 2,000. It's a small sizing so I can still get away from it if the big blind has a set and wants to play for a much larger amount than the under the gun straddler is capable of. If the big blind has anything other than a set, he's pretty much going to have to fold since I put it in the check raise and he still has a 3-better behind him who also put money in. If the big blind folds and the under the gun player jams for 2,400 more, I'll have to side call off. I really hope that's not what happens though. If the big blind folds, I'm very relieved to see that. I have one less opponent to worry about, but I'm not out of the woods yet. I expect the under the gun player to rip it in if he has pocket aces or kings. My read on the situation is that he genuinely doesn't like getting raised, but it's only $11.50 more for him. He's getting a good price. He calls, which we've seen him do in previous hands with very little value. I still wouldn't be surprised if he has ace-king or ace-queen, especially if he's suited and has a backdoor draw. It's down to heads up. The turn is another 3. It's great to see the dealer keeping it low. It's now a $7,000 pot. The opponent has about 1/3 of a pot-sized bet left in his stack. There's a good chance that he has ace-high, but there's also a decent chance that he has a pocket pair better than mine. If he does, I guess this is just my time to double him up. I don't see how I can get away from this. Wish me luck. If I don't win this pot, I'm going to be in a brand new, deeper hole than the one that I spent hours trying to get out of. A big part of me wishes dinner was just 15 minutes earlier because then I would have been able to avoid this quicksand situation. This will be about a $12,000 pot if I get called. A lot of time's going by for this player to make his decision. Surely if he had aces or kings, he'd call without any hesitation since he's getting almost 4-1. I also think that he would have bet more with those hands on the flop. As each second passes, I'm more convinced that he has ace-high, perhaps with a heart draw, but maybe not. Not only could I have the best hand, I could be a big favorite. I just can't think of what he could possibly have that's beating me that he wouldn't have snap called me with. We already know that the 2-seed doesn't like folding. He's racking up more time in the tank than Mark Cuban. After 56 seconds goes by, the player finally makes the call. It's one of the biggest pots that I've ever played, but do we have the best hand? I think we could. I'd like some insurance though. The dealer puts out the miracle jiggity. I know that I joke with you sometimes, but not here. We make a full house in order to have what's almost certainly the best hand in a 5-figure pot.
It's a good river.
Would he get it?
Hey, did I need the river?
You needed the river.
I suppose that we might have gotten lucky, and if that's the case, I feel bad about it for multiple reasons. I'm thrilled to have won, but I just don't like getting it in as an underdog, and I know how painful it is when others get lucky against me in similar situations. This is a little odd though because the opponent doesn't seem too upset to have gotten sucked out on in such a massive pot. He's taken this better than anyone that I've ever seen take a bad beat before.
Nice catch.
Thank you.
That was a nice catch, yes.
There you go.
Hey, I have top house going into the
Your top house?
top house.
How are you tanking then?
And it's 7.
How are you tanking then when I shoved?
How was I taking? I just planned. What do you mean? What do you want me to do? We're going to get it all in anyway, aren't we?
This is maybe the most ridiculous conversation that I've ever had after a hand. He's saying that he 3-bet small pre-flop with pocket sevens when he could have called to close the action, which I don't think that I've ever seen anyone do. He tank called the flop raise. That's pretty reasonable with top set. Then tank called the turn with the second nuts for almost a full minute in a timed game. After I shoved all in, he was getting 4-1 on a call. If what he's saying is true, then I don't feel bad about sucking out on him at all because it sounds like he was planning perhaps the most epic slow roll in the history of poker. What's way more likely is that he was behind the entire way and wanted to save face, so he made up something that made absolutely no sense. If he told me he had aces, kings, or queens, I would have been way more inclined to believe him. 3-betting pre-flop and tank calling the turn all in with top boat isn't a very credible story. I guess it doesn't matter too much anymore. The guy's been a fun person to play with aside from this incident. We'll never know for sure whether what he's saying is true or not. What's more important is that the stack's all the way up to 18,500.